Hello beautiful beings, and welcome back to the realm of inspiration. It is time to do the silver, intuitive silver, color frequency, understanding spiritual implications of the color silver, spiritual importance, significance, all the things. All the things. I have a Divine Feminine Cosmic Elfian Elemental who is knocking at my door to talk about the color frequency of silver, as she is an elemental of the color frequency of silver, and this is very much also related to the color frequency of gold, because they have this symbiotic relationship with each other, in the sense that gold is associated with the solar frequency, the divine masculinity, and the sort of spiritual power aspect, divine masculine energy, all around and manifesting in different things, whereas silver is more associated with the divine feminine, intuition, empathy, these different things, the lunar frequency more so. So that being said, I've got different silver around. The crystal that is the most silver-y would have to be hematite. I have lots of hematite. And others that kind of felt related to this color frequency, obviously just like silver in general, like the element of silver as well. But indigo gabbro came through to me, which I thought that labradorite would more so. I kind of expected it to be the one that called me more, but actually merlinite did, merlinite or indigo gabbro. Don't know why, but it feels connected. I feel like because intuition, intuitive silver, intuition, third eye, makes sense. We have clear quartz, clearly seeing, spirit quartz, clearly seeing, my little unicorn horn one. We are clearly seeing the truth, the true reality, messages for our highest good, for the betterment of our ascension, to inspire us on our journey, what we need to know, not what we want to hear, for the betterment of the collective's all's journey, of course. And then I have ruby and fuchsite, a little like raw crystalline energy here that has little like silvery specks in it. This felt like the most powerful crystal for the silver color energy, actually, and for just intuition, and I wonder why. I don't really know. I don't know if they'll explain it, but here you go, another crystal to add to your collection. This is not even a crystal that I intentionally sought out. It found me, so, like, in general, like, just to be in my collection. I didn't, like, even today, I mean, it just, like, called to me and I picked it up, but in general, it found me, and it wasn't something that I was looking for. And with intuition is something that finds you. You're not always looking for your intuition to tell you what's going on, but you definitely, when it finds you, you gotta listen, because there's so many times I've ignored it, and it's never a good thing, I can tell you that. Don't ignore your intuition, beautiful souls, because it is the voice of your soul telling you the right direction to go, but we have the free will to ignore it, and then we wonder why we get in the situations that we get into. But, nevertheless, Divine Feminine Cosmic Elfian Elemental of the color frequency of silver will do a better job educating and talking about silver color frequency. It's not one that I feel like I use or connect to as much as the color frequencies of gold, in general, but it is one that I do try to understand, and it's feeling, ooh, we're clearing a lot of energy, beforehand, but I feel like very, very cool, very chill, very relaxed, very different than like the cosmic heat frequency and the sun and all of those things. Like the lunar frequency is very like, it's more chill. We're feeling more chill energy as this Elfian steps through. So, Divine Feminine Cosmic Elfian Elemental of the Elfian Realm, of the Cosmic Elfian Elemental domain. Divine Feminine energy, when I have safely stepped back, you may step forth. Hello! Everything is very smooth right now. Everything is smoothing out. I am a Divine Feminine Cosmic Elfian Elemental of the color frequency of silver, and silver is more smoothing out the rough edges, seeing things very plainly, very clearly, even if it seems a bit heavy. It's very clear, very smooth. You know exactly what direction things are going in, right? This is how the intuition flows. This is how the intuition works. You are understanding your past, smoothing out, everything's starting to make more sense. Your intuition is giving you the inference skills to understand from all perspectives that then bring you forth into the future that you have been trying to manifest, all while being present in the moment now. The color frequency of silver is the color energy of the lunar frequency. The lunar frequency is connected to the divine love frequency. Very strongly, more so than, divine light, more connected to the solar. This is because the divine lunar frequency is more empathic, more divine feminine, more high priestess energy, intuition, grounding, healing, the spiritual aspect of things. The solar frequency, more so the different side of spirituality, more so the divine paternal energy, the protection, and more logic creation that needs the balance of the feminine and the lunar and the silver to bring it to center, the maternal to bring it to center. So the moon, the moon is silver. Yes, of course. So the silver energy, silver color. There's a certain peaceful elegance to the color frequency of silver, because what it does is it inspires deeper connection to something within you. It brings a call of a confidence within. And this confidence within is different than the golden confidence. The golden confidence is more outwardly, it's more extroverted, it's more excited, it's more in your face. The silver confidence. The silver confidence is confidence with oneself, confidence in the quiet moments when you are alone. When you are alone, able to have this independence. There is more of an independence in the divine feminine frequency, actually, because it has to take a different type of leadership role when it comes to caregiving. So there's the independent caregiver energy. And the intuition helps you understand how to handle complex situations. And complex situations from the perspective of healing, from the perspective of empathy and compassion, and honoring your free will independence, and using that for different higher things, most of the time. Of course, we see humans are not always doing this, but this is what the color energy of silver is to inspire in you, what it's meant to call forth within you. It's very clear, it's very reflective. It reflects to you your darkest shadows, even the things you wish to avoid. Now with the gold, you can power through, you can move forward, you can have that acceleration, and it is reflective and it does show things to you. But you can sometimes ignore the shadow with the gold because you are so distracted by its beauty. With the silver, it's still beautiful, but it's more clear, more transparent, and you can't avoid the shadows. Your intuition won't let you. The voice of your soul won't let you. So you gotta do the work. The color frequency of silver is really good to use when you're doing shadow work because it's gonna show you even the darkest corners, the things you wish to avoid. There isn't necessarily a color frequency of clear. So clear quartz goes under sometimes white and sometimes silver. Because silver is reflective. It's a mirror. So clear quartz is also a mirror, reflecting back to you. Same with hematite. Hematite reflects to you what you have unstable within you. See, the thing is, intuitive silver is showing you what you are ignoring. It is reflecting back to you that which you wish to avoid. Hematite does this in regards to stability. Clear quartz does this in regards to clarity of mind. Sometimes, you as humans like to ignore the truth that's being presented to you. Color frequency of silver, partnered with clear quartz, is forcing you to not avoid this. The human word would be delusion. Delusion. This is where you follow the illusions. You follow the illusions of the physical, of the ego that wants to prevent you from being in the present moment. Are you noticing a theme, humans? Noticing a theme of present moment? This is important. If you ignore what's being reflected to you, you lose your ability to connect to your highest self. Here's the thing. Intuitive silver is reflecting to you what you need to acknowledge. Opening your third eye. Essentially, it's showing to you what you need to deal with, and your intuition that it activates understands what's in the mirror. If you avoid it and run away from it again and again and again and again, you start losing your ability to connect to your intuition. You start losing your ability to connect to your highest self. You start losing your ability to be an embodied soul in the physical. So what then happens? You get more shadows and more shadows and more shadows until it's fogged. It's not reflected anymore. You can't see anything. It's moggy. It's foggy. All color frequencies have a shiny gloss over them. But all of them have the moggy, icky, foggy version, the diluted version of their original excellence in that energetic perspective. And that muggy, foggy, icky version is the version that is reflecting the egoic lower self, not the highest self. Color frequencies reflect the highest self, reflect the soul, reflect source, reflect God, reflect the creator. Moggy, icky, sticky, gucky color energy, that auric energy, that just like, ugh, it's full of shadows. That's reflecting the lower self. That's reflecting the ego. That's reflecting what you are avoiding. You did not incarnate to avoid, you incarnated to conquer. If you wanted to avoid, you would not incarnate. I mean, this is the truth. And intuitively, you know this. You wouldn't be alive if you weren't meant to experience everything that you're experiencing. If you didn't decide that you wanted to face those shadows, you wouldn't have incarnated. You don't have to deal with those shadows when you're not incarnating. You don't have to deal with those things when you're not incarnating. When you're not incarnating, you're just in limbo. You're just in limbo, watching the world, replaying your lives over and over again, wanting to face the challenges that you had in previous lifetimes that you avoided, but you're not incarnating, so you don't get to do that. That's the human life experience. And the lunar frequency illuminates this. It is an illumination frequency that does so through the color frequency of silver, reflecting to you exactly what you chose to do. So if you were not capable of facing those shadows, you wouldn't be alive in the physical. Plain and simple. If you were not meant to face all your shadows and all the demons in the corners, you would not be incarnating. You would not be alive. You are alive because you are capable. You are alive because you are supposed to face those shadows. You are alive because you wanted to. As a soul, when you replayed other lifetimes, when you replayed your soul's story, you reincarnated to give it another go, to try again and prove to yourself as a soul, to nobody else, to your highest self. Well, more to your soul, your kind of medium self, because your highest self knows you're capable. But to show yourself that you are more than capable. Your guides know that you are. They're here to remind you. Your guardian angels know that you are capable. They are here to remind you. Your highest self knows. It reminds you through intuition. It knows. Your future self knows that you're capable. It can remind you from many different perspectives. It's all through intuition. You are reminded through intuition that you are capable. Because you feel it. You feel it. I'm supposed to be dealing with this thing. And also you're able to help. You feel that you're able to help as well. Because also you wouldn't incarnate with this call, if you have a call to help, if you weren't capable. Everything that you feel inspired to do from your heart of hearts, from the depths of your soul, every positive thing that you feel inspired to do, and you think, can I do this? Can I write this book? Can I find a solution to this problem? If it was placed in your mind from the highest self, if it was placed specifically in your third eye, in your intuitive center, you are capable. It is just reminding you what you wrote down when you were planning, symbolically wrote down, not like physically. There's no tangible in the metaphysical, but you get the gist. You put down what you wanted to do, and your intuition is reminding you of that. So if you want to remember what you came here to do, a great shortcut to that remembering, connect to the color frequency of silver, use it in your meditations, have it reflecting to you all of the shadows, because the shadows first are what you're here to deal with. And then every single shadow that you transmute and reconstitute into something positive, it reveals to you another thing that you are meant to do. This is what the color frequency of silver does. It shows you have, let's say, for example, you have 10 dominant shadows that you have to take, transmute, reconstitute, integrate, and then it reveals 10, each of them reveals one thing, so you have 10 main things you're meant to do in this lifetime. Your missions per lifetime are hidden in your shadows, because when you deal with them, when you transmute them, when you reconstitute them, and you integrate them, they reveal to you what you're meant to do, because they are the opposite. They are the obstacle to what you're meant to do. So obviously when you reconstitute it, then you have the answer. And when you put them all together, you understand your initial purpose, or your second initial purpose, or third initial purpose, depending on your soul's journey. Of course, it's all different. But the general thing is, your shadows hold the secrets to what you're meant to do. When you deal with them, you understand what you're meant to do, who you're meant to be. Who you authentically are, not who you're meant to be. Correction to that. That's not the right expression. Who you are authentically, originally. Who you always have been as the essence of your soul. That is what it shows you. And silver is that magnifying glass. When you use it in conjunction with gold, not only do you get a better perspective, but the gold can help you integrate your purposes and your missions. The gold helps you integrate what the silver taught you. Also, the gold helps get you to the point where you're able to understand the silver. So this is where the divine masculine and feminine come in. The divine masculine energy gets you to the point where you're willing to listen to the divine feminine energy. And once you listen to the divine feminine energy, you use the divine masculine energy to integrate it. And then together, you have balance. You can bring in the divine light, the divine love, the maternal, the paternal, all the other divine energies, truth, tranquility, whatever. You bring it into you. Inspiration, hope, faith, you bring it to you. Every shadow holds the hidden key that you were missing. So take the silver, shine it in the shadows in the corners, find your next thing to deal with, and transmute and reconstitute and integrate. Because when you do so, another understanding of why your individual soul chose to incarnate in the physical. We can tell you you're beings of life and you're meant to experience life all we want. We have infinite time to do this, truthfully. But it's not that for every single human being. Because you have that as the reason why, not the reason why, how you are able to incarnate is because you are beings of life. You're able to exist in the physical because you're beings of life. The physical exists because of life, because you are life, because of you. Life. But it's not why you are incarnating. That reason, each lifetime is hidden in your shadows in that lifetime. So take them, transmute them, reconstitute them, integrate them, and keep with you the checklist that you are developing from every single shadow. That's why you don't always deal with every shadow at once. We talk about the dark night of the soul, right? You can go through many dark nights of the soul. Dark night of the soul essentially happens when you, of your own free will, are not willing to face a shadow, but there are certain things that have to happen for divine timing. So you go through dark night of the soul because you're not willing to face the shadow, but you have to face the shadow because time is running out for something that you need to do. So you go through a dark night of the soul. It's not necessarily something that you are choosing. If you choose to face the shadow, it's not a dark night of the soul. If you're choosing to face the shadow, it's just healing. It's just healing. That's all it is. But when Dark Night of the Soul happens, it's because you are supposed to accomplish something, you're supposed to do something, you are on the trajectory for it, but you just keep ignoring and avoiding this thing, so your highest self intervenes and pushes a shadow to your front focal, so you have to deal with it, and that's a Dark Night of the Soul. Because it's unexpected. Well, at least to the ego, it's unexpected. When you make the decision yourself and your conscious self, the egoic self, and you say you're not going to interfere, then it can't interfere and it can't make it more difficult. Essentially, Dark Night of the Soul is the ego fighting against the higher self to ensure that you deal with something that you're meant to deal with. And the thing is that eventually when you get to a certain point, the ego is a tool that actually can help you, but it helps you in a different way. When it's not in control, it's just like this thing. Because, and we've mentioned this before, because it holds wisdom in a sense of the physical reality, but it's a very fearful thing. But the more that you transmute your shadows, the less material of fear it has to. Essentially, it's like the boy who cried wolf, where the ego is like, it sees the things, it sees your shadows, it sees the things that you're afraid of, and it's afraid of them. It's afraid of them. It's afraid of them times 10. The things that your soul is like nervous about when you start to incarnate, it creates the fear stronger. And it keeps telling you, no, 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 no. I see this thing, I'm scared of this thing. No, 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 you have to be afraid of this. For a communicator. Example, she's giving permission. She was terrified, terrified, terrified of needles. Because the ego saw, in her soul's plan, when she had some shadows to integrate, but in her soul's plan, that she was going to experience diabetes and need needles. And that's scary, because it's painful. So her entire life, the egoic voice, the lower self, is coming in, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, run, 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 don't do this, avoid, 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 be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. It's creating fear. Now, in regards to this thing, it's trying, but every day, if she tries to keep transmuting, keep reconstituting, it doesn't like magically happen, I decide to transmute and reconstitute. No, it's work. But it's work that you're in control of. So you don't feel drained, you don't feel like you're living a nightmare. You feel like you're in control of it. So every single day, and eventually, the ego will let go of that. And when the ego lets go, basically when you integrate all the shadows, the ego has nothing essentially left to fear. Its lower self it's your individual lower self, so it has nothing left to fear when you integrate all your shadows. So then that's when it becomes a tool. It just is this thing that's there. Because each shadow you integrate, the lower self becomes less and less powerful. More shadows that you add, the more powerful the lower self. The more powerful the higher self, the more shadows that you integrate and heal. So if you see it from this perspective, that essentially the lower self doesn't want you understanding why you're here, so it wants more and more and more and more shadows. You sometimes create them. Create things that you have to heal and let go of. Things that the silver has to shine a mirror on. It creates that. More of them, and then you have more to deal with. The higher self goal is to eliminate all the shadows. You as a human incarnating in the physical, you are the in-between of this. I mean, it's gonna take time for every shadow to integrate and reconstitute and transmute. The goal is that eventually towards the end of your lifetime, or, it's not gonna happen magically overnight, of course, but as you start to live your life, you have less and less shadows, the lower self has less and less control, you're living with less and less fear, so you're able to be a being of life and actually live. That's the goal. And some of you have shadows that have been hiding. And you will definitely have more than 10. 10 was just an example. But you have shadows that have been hiding from other lifetimes too. So then you can go through this lifetime's shadows. But then the ego comes and is like, well, hey, I see this other thing. This is something new for us to be afraid of. Let's bring this to the focal point. And then you shine the silver from the higher self perspective. You're like, no, I'm going to integrate that instead. If you avoid it, the Dark Night of the Soul. This making sense, humans. This is something that the color frequency of silver and me as a Cosmic Elfian Elemental of work. I work with silver, I work with lunar frequency, I work with Divine Feminine in general frequency sources. So this is something that I feel you all don't understand as much, and it's important to explain it in this way so it makes more sense. Because our purpose is to inspire all beings, not just beings of life, all beings, spirit beings of inspiration, so that is what we do. But also to assist in any way we can, because when we assist you, then we're assisting your guides and your guardian angels and your spirit team who have the things that they're supposed to accomplish from the non-physical, and your ancestors who are waiting for you to understand things. And it's all this eternal loving friendship. This is why, inspiration is the essence that flows through all of these things. It is what we represent. It is who we are as beings. It's this energy that ties everything together. And it's important to understand that this is, in general, even with understanding the lower self and the ego and the highest self, like this is the point. This is the point of you going through living life, but also the point is to live. Is to live. And to experience and understand how energy works in the physical. You are all very curious, very research-based beings. You all like to know and understand things. You're not beings of knowledge, you're beings of life, but you like to know. You like to understand the truth of things. So you keep trying again. And that's why science has become this big dominant thing in your reality, because in an essence it is a reflection of how things are in the spiritual. Because in the spiritual you are always theorizing, you're always understanding, well, like in this lifetime, if I try this and I try this, maybe I will be able to solve this problem. I have my hypothesis, let me test it out, let me experiment with a lifetime. Oh, that lifetime didn't go out the way that I hoped it did. Let's move this around, let's try this around. Because incarnation is trial and error. Incarnation is a science experiment. Essentially. Incarnation is a science experiment. You are hypothesizing, you're creating theories, you are incarnating. It works, it doesn't work. It worked, but I created this new problem in the process. And then the goal is to eventually, in your own individual life, get it right to the point that you ascend. You go through ascension, but to be fully ascended, as an ascended master, that's the goal. Take this wisdom with you. And this is all that's left to share at this time in regards to this. So hopefully you get the clarity, the diamond of clarity of Archangel Gabriel coming to all of you in understanding this truth. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So interesting. So interesting. First, visually, I saw stories of life, I saw understandings, I saw mirrors reflecting shadows, I saw people interacting with each other, I saw the integration process, I saw how the ego and the higher self, or the lower self, which we call the ego, interacts with the higher self. Interesting, and in my body I felt releasing in my feet. In my feet and in my stomach as well, but in my feet mainly. And more illuminated and less feeling the need to clear energy as much. Clearing energy was like opening to what was gonna flow through, more allowing it through. And there was almost like there was this like blockade energetically and maybe physically as well, because it felt like for a little bit, like from the astral projected state perspective that I was seeing, it felt like she was hesitating to talk about something, and she kept circling back, like she was having to push something away to be able to fully communicate that. And that could have been my lower self coming through, like the ego coming through, and she had to push it away. But it was definitely a time of like kind of circling back, and then pushing something away. And then after that point, it became clearer. And so I felt that like in my mind, like in my head, like I feel the sensation now, like that feeling, and now it's passing and I feel relief. But also like I visually saw that, which was very interesting. And it just like the process of life, I saw the earth spinning, a lot more visuals, a lot of very interesting visuals. And the thing is, the capability of handling the difficult moments, this I saw across multiple different periods of time and incarnation, and I saw life plans and the different things that we choose. I saw science fairs. I saw like how truth is uncovered in many different ways. It's very interesting. It's very fascinating. to understand this, and maybe in the future we'll do more of understanding shadow work. Maybe a course, maybe a book, maybe an article, maybe more channeled videos of understanding it. Because from what I remember, like, because I remember what I'm supposed to hear as well. If I'm not supposed to hear it, I don't remember it. So I don't always remember everything. But from what I remember hearing, is this, that the shadow holds the key, and I saw the visual of a soul, a shadowy soul with keys, different colored keys, like of the different colored frequencies and auras and whatever it may be, inside them, and then them opening, and as they're like changing and going through a metamorphosis thing, the key reaches the surface, and then it like falls out, and then, you know, a lighter soul picking it up, and then this thing that kind of transformed into a completely different shape, just goes in the pocket of that person, and that person takes the key, and puts the key in their heart, and then puts the other thing in their pocket. And so that's also very interesting, is that each of our shadows, and what are our shadows, and also something about Dark Night of the Soul and explaining that too. So there is more. There is more to do. So stay tuned for that. Let me know what you would want to see from that. What more to elaborate on. What more to channel and connect to understand. Let me know in the comments below. That being said, sending you love, light, inspiration, and I guess some clarity your way. Stay inspired, beautiful beings. Until then, goodbye for now.